sunshine. You are my sun.
No ma'am, we're gonna read about 2-3 books in a month. All right, no spice. Hold the spice, please. Don't want it. Hey everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Erin, and today's video is going to be all about the Booktube Newbie Tag. I think I got that right. All right, so we're gonna get right into it. I'm actually gonna be using my iPad for the questions. I did not rehearse these questions, so we're gonna see what I come up with, okay? All right, the first question is, why did you start this channel? Okay, so I did a little intro video not long ago, but basically I started the channel not so much just to talk about books, but also just to kind of create this creative space for myself to just create freely and share pieces of my life. And a big part of my life is reading, which is why I decided to just join the Booktube Newbie Tag, because I do quite a bit of reading. I wanted to kind of share from my perspective. I can say I don't have a lot of people in my life that love to read as much as I do, or read the same type of books that I do. And so when it comes to like talking about the books, sharing what I got, my experience at a new bookstore, a library, or something like that, or talking about how much I love my Kindle, whatever. Like, if I'm talking to somebody, they're looking at me like, girl, what? I would say one of my coworkers, I work remote, one of my coworkers does read a lot, and she owns a Kindle. So every now and then when we have like a one-on-one, we'll talk. But I don't know, I just wanted to create like a free, safe space where I can talk about the books that I enjoy reading, what I'm reading, included in my videos, and not feel like this is cringy, no one's gonna care, no one's gonna watch, no one can relate. So I just wanted to kind of find community in this space. Number 2, it says, what are some fun and unique things you can bring to BookTube? I think for me, I think that number 1, I definitely wanted to create a channel to bring diversity. I don't always see a lot of, now I am, I will say that, now I am, I guess I'm on the right side of BookTube, but I don't see a Black women who talk about books. I follow a lot of, on Instagram anyway, I follow a lot of book pages, bookstagrammers, and I always get excited when I see someone who looks like me, who enjoys the art of reading, the art of literature, and just gets excited about a new book, the feel, the smell, the feeling of completing the book, and really just talking about it and sharing their perspective. So I definitely wanted to just be a part of that. Whenever I see a lack in something, I'm like, you know what, maybe I can share too. So I definitely wanted to bring my personal perspective when it comes to that, to reading. I also think that for my channel, for me personally, as for me and my house, we serve the Lord, okay? And so I definitely want to share more about faith-based books. I definitely want to share more about devotionals I may be reading, even reviews on the books in the Bible. I haven't seen much of that. Maybe I'm not searching the right thing, but you know, I want to do books like, hey, let's talk about the book Samuel real quick. I just finished that. You know what I'm saying? I want to talk about my faith more while I'm talking about books. I definitely am on this journey of finding more books that are like fiction, but Christian books. I'm not interested in spice, as people call it in this world, or smut. It's just not my thing. I accidentally came across some books that had it in it, and it's very just cringy to me. It makes me uncomfortable. So I definitely am on this journey to find more books in the genres that I enjoy that are clean. I want to share more clean books for the girlies that are not interested in all of the things that make us uncomfortable, okay? We know what it looks like. We know what it sounds like. We know what it feels like. I don't need to read about it in the book. Sorry. So that's what I think that I would bring that's unique to BookTube. is definitely my faith-based perspective, and just being a Black woman who loves to read, I definitely want to share more from that perspective as well, because I don't see a ton of us on here. I will say there are two young women that I follow here on YouTube or subscribe to. One is Shanice Schroeder, I think her name is, and then the other is Kalila, I forget her last name, but I watch their videos on BookTube faithfully, and my face lights up whenever they post a new video talking about books, because I see me when I see them. So I just want to offer that same thing when I create a video. When I post a video, I want a little girl to be able to watch, or another young lady, or even someone of an age who's been reading for years, to pull up on YouTube and see my face and see themselves. So that's what I think would be unique. Okay, number 3, before I get teary-eyed. Okay, what are you most excited about for this channel? It would be very, very similar to what I just spoke about. It's just that connection, the community aspect, I think is what I'm most excited about. Even now, at this moment, I think I have maybe 43 subscribers, and just to see that 43 people are interested in seeing content here on YouTube from me, that's exciting. And to be able to connect with other people, to comment and reply back, and just to see that other people identify with the things that I enjoy, that's what I'm looking for, is that community aspect. That's what I'm excited about. Okay, number 4, I'm actually excited about this one. Number 4 says, why do you love reading? Okay, all right, this may make the video a little long, but if you're on YouTube, I think you have time, right? All right, so picture this. No, I'm kidding. So I actually started reading when I was very young. I remember my mom getting me like this book subscription box. I had to be like 6 or 7, and I would get these books in the mail in a box. And I remembered Amelia Bedelia being like a consistent book. I know there's like a whole series of Amelia Bedelia books, okay? And I looked forward to this package. I don't know if it was month to month. It didn't last long, but I just remember it's a very, very distinct memory of getting this box of books. And I know there were other books within the box, but I just remember Amelia Bedelia. And this Amelia was crazy. Something was wrong with Amelia. Maybe she always ended up in trouble. She kind of reminds me of like Mr. Bean, but she was like a nanny or something like that. And she just always ended up in trouble, messing something up. Everything was always a mess in these books, but I thoroughly enjoyed Amelia Bedelia. Okay, I was like 6 or 7 again. Fast forward, I think my love for reading also ties into my love for writing. If you tuned into my intro video or have watched any like work from home videos I posted, I am a content strategist. I'm also a freelance writer on the side. And so writing is like ingrained in my life. And even as a young girl, I was an avid reader, but also I love to write. And so looking at things from those two perspectives, as the reader and the writer, is something that I enjoy doing. And so it's those two things always came easily to me all throughout school. Anything that had to do with English language arts, no need. 10-page paper, you got that. So I really enjoyed researching. I really enjoyed just the art of just forming sentences and paragraphs and creating stories, and creative writing was always one of my favorite things to do. And so just the aspect of reading from these different authors who are writing from all these different perspectives just excites me. And so funny thing is, when I was a senior in high school, one of my first jobs was McDonald's, but also I worked at the school library part-time. And at that time, I think it wasn't even $5 an hour. It wasn't much. So it wasn't a lot of money for me. I definitely was making more money at McDonald's at the time, but there was so much joy in working at the library. I shelved books, I checked people out, I wrapped the books in that plastic. I would find, and this is back in, now, I'm only 34, okay? Okay, I graduated in 2007, but let's just set the stage. This was before we were looking up books in the computer. We had these little index cards that we filed in these little tiny shelves, little boxes, okay? So I was organizing everything by barcode number, by author, alphabetical order. Like, that is what I did. And I would come in and work extra hours on my lunch hour during school, or if I had a free period, I was in that library, okay? And it was the most fulfilling, like, joyous time for me. I went through a lot too of growing up, but like, that was my favorite job. And for it to be one of my first jobs, it's just funny how things kind of come full circle, you know. So that definitely was my first job, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I would eat my lunch in there. I was a loner. I did not have a lot of friends in school. I moved a lot, and so I connected with the books throughout my life. I connected with the characters in these books, the worlds, and the stories that were built in these books. And so to have a job working at the library and like being like buddy with the librarians at the school, like, that was my safe space. And I would, like I said, I would grab my lunch and my schoolwork, and I would just hang out in there whenever I could. And that was like the safe space that I had during my last year in school. So, and then also I ended up with a job at the library a couple of years later at a different, like, local library in a small town. And I was just a librarian shelving books. And I was probably like, I was one of the youngest, but also there were like teenagers who would come in after school, but I was like in my 20s. But I shelved books. I would check people out. I would help, like, older adults find the books that they needed or find a newspaper. I would open up the library every morning and set it up, turn on the lights and, create the book displays. The holidays would come, I would decorate the Christmas trees. There was so much joy in that space. And one of my favorite things to do was to wrap brand new books. The excitement that I got when new books came in, oh my gosh. What? What do you mean? What do you mean? Sister Soldier? The Coldest Winter Ever? I think that's what the name of the book. Y'all, I remember it was Sister Soldier, and that book came in, it was fresh. That book was clean, okay? Not a page ripped, bent. The smell, the book was crisp, okay? Immediately, I wrapped it up and I checked it out, and I was the first to take it home. And I completed that book so quickly. I ate it up, okay? First of all, that was the first, I remember this time in my life, this was the first time where I actually saw books by Black authors, I will say. When I was like taking in these new books, I'm like, wait, what? This is a Black person? This is a Black woman? Oh, let me adjust my seat. I was like, I have to read this. And that just, oh my gosh, my relationship with books grew even stronger. Like, wow, I can do this. This is something that I can do. Again, and that goes back to the reason why I started my channel and why I love seeing other Black women here on BookTube, is the fact that we don't see a lot of us in spaces. And this is back in 2007. Well, this is back into the early 2000s, okay? And I definitely didn't see a lot of me in this space. So it was really cool to see that. Eventually, I ended up becoming what was called the Interlibrary Loan Administrator. Fancy, okay? Yeah, the Interlibrary Loan Administrator, and basically that just meant that I was in charge of transferring books from one library location to another. And so if our location did not have a certain book that someone put on hold or was interested in, then I would find out what other library did, and either someone from that location would drive to us or I would drive to them and go pick the book up. And it would be like a bunch of books for people that were on hold, and would bring it to our library. So I don't know how they do things now, but I would manage this whole system. I remember even doing like a walkthrough of how to use the system. I did like a whole like presentation and everything. And I would drive to all these different library locations. I remember like even going to a library that was literally a trailer in the middle of nowhere, and going there one day and having to cover a shift for somebody, and then going to another library that was humongous. It was like the White House. It was gorgeous. Okay. And then, just to see all these different spaces that books are held, and meeting all these different librarians. I was definitely a young librarian, okay? To say I was in my 20s, and most librarians are, up in age. So to like, be on the same level and be like, yeah, I'm the Interlibrary Loans Administrator. Yeah, I'm here to, I have a little keys and everything. So to really see how all these things work behind the scenes, I don't know, I just have this new respect for librarians. And even today when I go to the library, I remember this one librarian I went to check out. No, I went to work at the library to get some work done. And I mean, me and this lady were just cutting it up, just talking about books. And I think that is the coolest thing. No matter, your background, who you are, how old you are, what color you are, like books can bring people together. Not all the time, but they can definitely bring people together. So I just think that it's so awesome when you can just like connect over books, over words, the written word. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I think that is it as far as that answer. I'm trying to think if I got like everything, but that is why I love reading. Oh, I will also say for a while, just as life, having kids and just being grown and being an adult, I didn't have as much time to read anymore. But I will say when the pandemic came about, I started to dabble in reading again. And I was reading more like self-help kind of books until one day I came across Queenie. It was my very first fiction book as an adult, I will say, by a Black author. Don't remember the author's name. If I can, I'll try to like pin a picture here. But I read Queenie, I listened to Queenie on Audible, and I really enjoyed the story. And I was like, this is fiction. I like it. Like, it's not a real world. It's not some self-help book. It's not talking about, 10 ways to whatever. It was just this whole new world, this whole character with this life, and you just want good for this person, and it was a pretty lengthy book. I think it was over 300 pages, which is, I don't think I had read any books that long in a while. And I really, really enjoyed it. And that was when I was like, okay, now I want to find more fiction. And I also want to find more books by Black authors. I just want to consume so much more. And then it was like during that period of time, and we know we've all experienced something during the pandemic, it just sparked a bit of joy in my life to read. So ever since then, I've just been like reading. All right, so let's see what the next question is. Okay, what book or series got you into reading? Okay, obviously I just answered that question. So, and this is how you know I did not look at these questions. I will say as of recently, because I last year I didn't really read that much. I will say as far as a series, okay, as of recently, I will say that Frida McFadden has me in a chokehold, as the young people say, okay? I recently got into psychological thrillers, and because I got a Kindle this past summer, I decided to subscribe to Kindle Unlimited, and all of her books are on Kindle Unlimited. And I think I read The Housemaid first, because TikTok, Instagram, something like that. Somebody was like, you gotta read this book. And then I was like, oh my gosh, this is good. This is really, really good. So I went on to read The Housemaid's Secret, and I've also read, oh my gosh, okay, The Housemaid's Secret. I've read The Wife Upstairs, One by One, and The Coworker, which I think just came out not long ago. I want to say September. I took a break actually to like read a little bit of like, fluffy fiction, but Frida McFadden does not miss. I mean, it's not really a series, but I will say anytime that I feel like I'm in a reading slump and it's been a while, I can choose any book from her and be satisfied, at least at 4 stars. She is just such a good writer. There's no spice in these books. Very, I believe the language is fade to black or closed door when it comes to those like intimate scenes. There's a bit of language, but very quick reads. No more than 300 pages, sometimes a little bit less than 300, like a 260, 280 page book. But all of her books have really, really good twists and turns at the end. And I put my little Nancy Drew hat on when I'm reading her books. And I'm like, okay, people, who done it? Whenever I'm reading her books. So I thoroughly enjoy reading anything from Frida McFadden. I definitely, after I finish reading what I have on my Kindle now, I'm gonna get back on Frida because it never fails. I think I'm actually going to start just purchasing her books to put on my bookshelf, the ones that I've read so far, because I really, really enjoy them. There are some characters that I don't really care for sometimes, but that's with any book. You're not gonna like any character, but I love that it's an easy read. I can get through her books pretty quickly. Lots of twists and turns. Every time she ends a chapter, you want to read the next because of the way that she ends it with like a cliffhanger. I really enjoy like even the humor. She definitely carves out her characters pretty well, in my opinion. Not too deep all the time, but yeah, I can go on and on. I thoroughly enjoy Frida McFadden, obviously. Okay, what questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? Okay, let's see. That's a good question. Like, what got them into reading and why books bring them so much joy? And also, I would ask, how do they read so many books? Because let me tell you something. If you subscribe to my channel, I'm going to let you know right now that I am not going to be reading 10 to 12 books a month. Ain't no way. The most I may do 3 to 5 books in a month. Okay. I work full time. I'm a mother. I'm a wife. Chronic illness. Like, we've got things going on. We have a life to live. We are adulting. Life is lifing. I just don't see how it's humanly possible to read so much. But they do it. Somehow they do it. So one thing I will say is that reading is not a race for me. And I'm going to take my time. One thing I'm going to do is take my time. Okay. I may sit in a book for some time. I wanted to make sure I wasn't answering something. I will say this though. When I read a book, when I get to the last like hour or 30 minutes left in the book, or pages, depends if I'm reading on a Kindle or a physical book, I have to savor the last bit. So I will wait. Like, there was a book I recently finished and I had like 30 minutes left of the book, and I was hybrid reading through the physical book and Audible, and I was on Audible. I was like, oops, stop. I had to set the scene. I took my shower. I warmed up some chocolate cookies. Okay, I had a little coffee, set up my heating pad, got a little cozy spot in the bed, and then I finished the book. Okay, it just has to be a moment. It has to be a vibe for me to finish the book. And then I just kind of sit there like, all right. And I just have to like marinate on, especially if it's a good book, I have to like marinate on the book. Okay, so I don't know. said that to say, don't expect me to have like this super long TBR or come back with these huge recaps. No, ma'am. We're going to read about 2-3 books in a month. All right. Okay. So next, this is going to be a long video. All right. The next one says, all right, number 7, what challenges do you think starting a YouTube channel would be the hardest to overcome? Okay, I think that I've actually overcome that, is starting the channel. I've been wanting to start a YouTube channel for a minute. I was on YouTube many years ago. Yeah, obviously it did not last long, but I was nervous about like how people would perceive me and the quality of my videos, what I would talk about, am I talking too much, and all these different things. At the end of the day, you're going to find, people are going to find you based on what they enjoy about you. Some people like really talkative videos, some people don't. Some people may like the same genre as you and subscribe. I don't know. So I'm really in a place where I'm comfortable now in front of the camera. I've been recording quite a few videos. Now, are they edited? No. Are they published? No. But, the practice of recording them has made me very comfortable. And just the fact that I actually did the thing and I, published my first few videos and I created a channel, there's nothing to be afraid of anymore. I'm good. Okay, so the next one is number 8. It says, when did you start reading? I feel like that's very similar to a few other questions that I've had. When did I start reading? When I was a little girl. I've been reading forever. Yeah, very avid reader. Started young. Okay, number 9 says, where do you read? Okay. I read everywhere. Okay, I prefer to read in my bed for the most part, or on my couch. I like to be comfortable. But I tend to take a book with me everywhere I go. I want to say it was a previous pastor of mine who was like, reading you're waiting. And that's how he was able to read as many books as he did, while you're waiting. And so I think about that waiting time. Doctor's appointments, sports practices, games. There's always some time that I'm waiting in line. So I take my Kindle with me and throw it in my purse every time I leave the house. If it's a pretty thin book, I'm not gonna lie, there's been some big books I brought with me. I will keep a book in my car. I will keep a book in my bag, my tote bag. I'm gonna have a book with me, okay, everywhere I go. And so while I wait, I'm reading. And that's how I get a lot of my reading done. Instead of scrolling, I've really been in this place where I'm not trying to scroll as much on social media. I take a lot, and I mean a lot, of social media breaks. So I will take a book with me everywhere I go. So there's no real one spot that I read, but yeah, that's my answer. The last one is number 10. It says, what kind of books do you like to read? Okay, so I'm still trying to figure out exactly what all genres I like to read, but I will say that right now I'm enjoying psychological thriller. Like I mentioned before, I love Rita McFadden. She's my girl. Psychological thrillers. I really love a good fluffy romance. Okay? No spice. Hold the spice, please. Don't want it. So I love a good fluffy romance. Currently, I'm reading a book called Baking Christmas. It is the cutest book. Oh my gosh. And I don't think I'm gonna do a December TBR, so we're just gonna talk about it here just a little bit. But it is the absolute cutest book. I think the author's name is Cindy Steele, and she's got quite a few other books that she's written. And so I think that I'm gonna dive into a couple more of her books. They're easy to read. The characters are very lovable. Yes, it's a predictable storyline, but I like a really feel-good book. I also love a good, fictional book by a Black author, created by like the UK authors. Oh my gosh, Mamie, that was so good. I think I read Mamie in August, and I could read it again. That was definitely a beautifully written book. I'm trying to think of, I'd have to look up like what I've read recently. Oh, can I do that? No, I don't have the reason on my iPad. But I'm definitely into just cute stories. I love seeing like the underdog come on top kind of books. I love reading books about Black women, of course. What else do I like to read? I love a good self-help book. I'm all about self-help, self-care, no boundaries, things of that nature. Your girl's going to read her Bible. I love a good scripture. Also, just like faith-based books, encouraging books, things that can just keep me uplifted and bring me joy and peace, bring me closer to God. So that's where I'm at right now. I don't know what else I would say. I definitely not like fantasy or horror. Yeah, I think I'm gonna just stay in that little realm. If you have any suggestions on anything that you think that I would like to read, definitely, place them in the comments below. I would love to get your opinions on that. But so that's all the questions that I have. This video ended up being much longer than I thought it would be, but that's okay. This is why we're on YouTube and not on TikTok or anything. This is not short form content, obviously. This is long form. But yeah, I hope that you enjoyed it. I definitely look forward to creating more content, to reading more, and to share more of what I've been reading and how I feel about what I've been reading, and just to connect with you all and build community in this space. I really enjoy this space. I like it here. It's warm, it's cozy, it's pretty cool. So yeah, and I think my biggest thing is just being my authentic self. And I love that I can be the nerdy, awkward Black girl that I am and still, enjoy being in this space and enjoy creating whatever comes to mind. So that's enough rambling. Like I said, thank you so much for watching. But yeah, I will see you in the next video. Bye.